Alright, welcome to part 4 here in the final video of the series of 4 7500 repairs. We're leaping ahead here a bit because in the interest of at least having one of these videos not be an hour long, I went ahead and skipped all of the preliminary testing where we test all of the power circuit before we power it on, make sure there's nothing wrong with it, and there's not. If this is the first video you're watching in the series, go back and watch any of the ones prior to this. You'll see how to test and what to test on the power circuit and what to inspect and everything to make sure it's going to fire up before you do so. But in this instance, everything passed, everything tested good. There was nothing wrong with the chassis visually or electrically that would keep it from powering up. So I plugged it in, turned it on, and it did indeed fire right up. But not without issue. It's got a vertical, it's not collapse. Before I show you, it's actually running here, I've got it running. Before I show you what's happening, it's not a vertical collapse. It's more like a squished image, like a capacitor issue. But so here's what's going on. As you can see, it's shrunk down. Now it's not collapsed. Like it is, but it's not a collapse issue, because if it was collapsed, you'd have it coming from both sides, or you'd have missing image. It'd just be, the top half would be cut off completely, but it's not. It actually, the entire image is there, but the top 5 inches or so is just squished down into this 2 image area. So it's squished down like it's a bad capacitor or something. But anyway, that's what's happening. And I've spent the last, I think, 2 days troubleshooting this chassis. I've checked every single thing. We know our power supply is good. This section over here. So from the flyback this way, I have checked everything. Against a working 7500. I checked every capacitor, every diode, every resistor, every polycap, and I can't find anything wrong with this thing. Every transistor, these transistors, I've checked everything. I can't find anything out of spec. So I replaced the entire, I replaced U601, I replaced U707, it's a 701 and 702, I think, that I changed out those 2 ICs, this IC. I checked my voltages at the vertical IC. You should have 15 volts and 26 volts. I do. I've got the correct voltages on everything compared to another one. You can test your 15 volt input on this pin. You can check your 25 volt, 26 volt actually on this pin here. So those are your 2 test points for 15 and 26. Those are both solid. Right at 15 and 26. Actually, it's 15.01 and 26.02. And we have those, our current. Well, I have those reading correctly at the pins and at the IC. So our IC has all the correct proper voltages. Actually, not just those pins. I've got, excuse chicken scratch here, but I went through and all of the voltages are correct on the correct pins, the correct amount. There's no voltage anomalies. So the vertical IC is getting all the information it needs to get. And I am at a complete and total loss. So the next step is to do an entire cap kit. Some of the caps have been changed out already, but because of the symptom of what's happening here, there is some failed component other than the vertical IC. So I'm going to do a full complete cap kit, and we'll come back and we'll see where we're at. Well, I think I may have found the issue, hopefully anyway. I got the full cap kit installed and done and everything, and I found 2 discrepancies. This capacitor here, which is C615, this guy right here, is supposed to be 50 volt 33 microfarad. It's a 63 volt 33 that's in there, but it's supposed to be 50 volt 33 microfarad per the cap list here. But what was in there was this guy. Let's see if I can get it to focus up here. It's a 50 volt 3.3. So somebody put a 3.3 in a place where it's supposed to be 33. So I think that might have been my issue, because if you follow the trace, it goes directly to one of the legs on the vertical IC. And comparing readings, I had 7.83 on pin 6 and 8.73 on pin 7, but when comparing to a working one, it was actually 10 volts. It was 9 point something. So because the voltage was lower here, maybe it actually goes to, I think, pins, it goes to pin 1 actually, which is part of it. Well, so much for that theory, because it goes to pin 1, which is 15 volt. But either way, I'm fairly certain that this being a 3.3 instead of a 33 will solve the issue. But I also found one more thing. Let's see, changing this capacitor here out, I noticed that one of the legs was broken on this cap, and you can see here that, yeah, it was broken. So I don't think that may have been an issue with my vertical problem, but it may have been another issue that would cause something to fail later. But this capacitor was broken. I replaced it with one from another donor chassis. So I found this broken capacitor and this capacitor with the wrong reading. So I have to do the neck board still, and then we'll fire it up and see what happens, because I think that's probably going to fix it. Now the neck board is just as dire straits as the rest of them. You can look here and it's just as butchered. This is probably the worst of the four. So this is going to take some time. So I'm going to get this all fixed up and capped and adjusted and worked on and get it ready to go, and then we'll get all this back together on the tube and see if that capacitor discrepancy fixed the problem. So stand by. Well, real quick, neck board has been repaired. You can see the way it should be. All the caps have been changed out. I got the resistors spread out evenly and the heat sinks corrected and all of the solder removed and new solder flowed. And it was just a horror show prior. I mean, it's still a horror show. I haven't cleaned it up yet. You see, I still have flux residue and stuff, so I'll clean it up. But it has been, you know, repaired. It's just a horror show. Again, it's not meant to win any beauty contest, but it is functional. Well, I assume it will be, and a lot more secure and better than it was before with those wires and whatnot. And you can see these are. I'm moving this around. They don't go anywhere. So they're nice and secure and straight, and yeah, much better. So I'll get this hooked up after I get it cleaned a bit, and then we'll fire it up and see what happens. Alright, here we go. We're all hooked back up. Neck board's resecured. I got all the pots wiped and set back to the center. And yeah, ready to go. Fingers crossed. I'm fairly confident, especially when you got a 3.3 in place of a 33. Let's find out. So let's turn this on, and here we go. Alright, well, came on, that's good. Didn't put any caps in backwards. Oh, hallelujah! Just, contrast is too high. There we go. Well, out freaking standing. Obviously, you got to reposition this stuff since we did the cap kit. There's full height, full picture. It's too blue, but of course, I put all these to the center, and there's no reason to even try and adjust them because this is not staying on this tube. But yeah, awesome, outstanding. Where's my width here? Do I have width control? I have width control, and that's again all due to this little transistor here. Has to be plugged in the right way. Fantastic. Let's scroll through our RGB. Fantastic. Let's go back to our conversions page. Beautiful. Outstanding. Well, there you go. I went through hours and hours of head scratching and painstaking testing and all for nothing because whoever did this cap kit installed the wrong cap in there. Some of these caps were changed, some of them weren't. So whoever changed out these caps put the wrong cap in. Oh, well, it is what it is. You live and learn, but I'm glad I got it fixed. So now that, I guess that rounds up all four of them to a successful repair. So again, I had 5 of these, a K7500 that had nothing wrong with it. And then the first K7500 had, I think it had no blue, no green. I think it had no green. The second one had no blue. The third one was blowing HOTs, and this one had the vertical collapse problem. So it all turned out to be successful repairs. So thanks everybody for watching, following along on the series, and I'm glad I was able to get all of them going and send them all back to the owner here soon, and I'm sure they'll be happy too. Otherwise, yeah, thanks again, and hopefully you learned something on this series, and stay tuned for more. I've got other stuff on the way. I got somebody's sending me 7 K7000s. 7! So I got to go through all those. That'll be a nice series. So hopefully that'll teach some people some stuff too, and you'll be able to get your feet wet on these monitor repairs. They're not tough. Don't be scared. And it does take some head scratching, but eventually, perseverance, you'll get through it. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Beautiful. All right.